High-powered DC battery systems. I mean, they're at the heart of everything, right? Off-grid cabins, boats, RVs, they hold this incredible amount of energy. But, harnessing that power safely, that takes a little more than just connecting the red and black wires. Because inside this simple box, there's this really delicate balance between immense power and some serious peril. When you look at a big, deep cycle battery, it's so easy to just see it as this heavy, inert block. Just a simple box of stored energy you hook up and kind of forget about. It doesn't move, it doesn't make any noise, it just sits there. But that calm exterior, it hides a pretty volatile reality. Yeah, because under the wrong conditions, that simple box of power can absolutely fail. The chemical and electrical forces that are churning away inside, they really demand our respect. Because if that battery's integrity gets compromised, the consequences can be, well, pretty severe. So let's do this. Let's peel back the plastic casing and really look at what's going on inside. What materials and what forces are we actually dealing with when we handle one of these batteries? Okay, so these aren't just generic warnings. These are the official hazard pictograms, taken right from the battery's safety data sheet. The symbol on the left, that warns that the contents are corrosive to metals. And the one on the right, that's the health hazard symbol. It means the stuff inside can cause serious, long-term health problems. And it doesn't stop there. The exclamation mark? That tells you it can cause skin and respiratory irritation. And this last symbol is a big environmental warning. The contents are highly toxic to aquatic life. I mean, this is clearly not your average AA battery.
So what's behind all these warnings? Well, a typical lead-acid battery is about 62% lead and 31% sulfuric acid. And those two, they're the heavy hitters. The lead is a heavy metal with well-known health risks, and the sulfuric acid is, well, it's a highly corrosive acid. So here's the crucial point. All those chemicals are safely contained, unless something goes wrong. A risk of exposure only really happens if the battery is compromised. We're talking about physical damage, like being dropped or crushed, getting exposed to extreme heat, or a major electrical fault like a short circuit.
Okay, so with a healthy respect for the chemical dangers, let's switch gears and turn to the electrical side. How do we safely manage the immense current these batteries can provide? That brings us to Section 2, harnessing the current.
It all really starts with the absolute basics. You've got conductors, which let electrons move freely. They're like a superhighway for electricity. And then you have insulators, which do the opposite. They're like a solid wall that electrons just can't get through. All electrical wiring is really just about building a safe highway for that current and then using insulators to make sure it stays right where it's supposed to. So why is that highway almost always built from copper? Well, if we look at the data, silver is actually a slightly better conductor, but it's way too expensive. Copper just hits that perfect sweet spot, offering excellent conductivity at a cost that makes sense. That's what makes it the king of cables. But listen, not all copper cables are created equal. For the really high currents in DC systems, you absolutely need flexible cables made of many, many fine strands. You should avoid those coarse, rigid cables, especially the ones that are meant for AC household wiring. Oh, and if your system is on a boat or any kind of damp environment, you gotta invest in tin-coated marine cables. They're built to fight off corrosion. Every conductor has some level of resistance. You can think of it like electrical friction that's always opposing the current. And the relationship is pretty simple. The longer the cable, the higher the resistance. And here's the crucial part. The thicker the cable, the lower the resistance. Getting this balance right is absolutely essential for both safety and efficiency.
Okay, so we've got our battery and we've chosen the right cables. But what protects the entire system when the unexpected happens? That brings us to Section 3, the essential safety net.
So let's ask the critical question. What happens if, say, a wrench drops across the battery terminals, or a wire chafes through its insulation and touches the metal frame? What's going to stop that massive, uncontrolled surge of current? Well, the answer is this humble but life-saving little device, the fuse. When a short circuit happens, a massive current just surges through the whole system. The fuse is designed to be the weakest link in that chain. The small metal strip inside instantly melts, which breaks the circuit and stops that dangerous current cold. It's so simple, but incredibly effective. Now, fuses are the classic solution. They're simple, they're reliable, but they are single use. The modern alternative is the circuit breaker. It's basically a resettable switch that trips during an overcurrent event. It's definitely more convenient, but it's also more complex and costs more. The choice really comes down to your budget and how easily you can access the component to reset it or replace it.
The term ground can be kind of confusing, so let's clear this up real quick. An earth ground is a physical connection to the planet, usually with a big metal rod. A chassis earth connects to the metal frame of a vehicle or a boat, and then a circuit ground is simply a common reference point that we all agree to call 0 volts. 3 distinct but related concepts for safety and stability.
All right, our final section. This is where we bring everything together. We're going to combine all our knowledge to build a system that's both powerful and safe. This is Section 4, Wiring Without Regret.
Now, this quote highlights a critical piece of physics described by the formula P = I²R. What that means is the heat generated by resistance doesn't just increase with the current, it increases with the square of the current. It's an exponential relationship, and it's why even a tiny bit of resistance from a single loose connection can generate a dangerous amount of heat really fast. Tight connections aren't just a good idea, they are a safety imperative.
So let's just recap the best practices. Number 1. Always start with the right cable thickness for the amount of current you're pulling. From there, make sure every single connection is clean, tight, and secure to keep that resistance as low as possible. Protect every single circuit with its own fuse or breaker right on the positive side. And finally, if you're ever in doubt, just consult a qualified professional. It's not worth the risk. So I'll just leave you with this one final thought. You can see all the physical parts of your system. You can see the battery, the cables, the switches. But true safety, that comes from respecting the invisible forces of chemistry and electricity that you're trying to control. Understanding the power is the first and, honestly, the most important step.